It's emotional, man. Just hearing, Councilmember Dean and Sidney Harrison, Councilmember Harrison, speaking on my behalf, it's just full circle. I remember, getting coffee, and running errands for them and stuff like that. And to hear them, 15 years later, speaking on my behalf is just a blessing. But this is a meet and greet. So tonight, I kind of want to step away from the politics, the political platform tonight, and I just want to be honest and just tell you about who I am as a person. Just who is Branndon Jackson? That's the question. And people come here tonight to get the answers to that question. So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I grew up probably one of the richest kids in America, in the middle of the ghetto. And I know that sounds paradoxical, but to me, outside of time, the most precious commodity is love. And I grew up with an army of aunties and family members that loved me and pushed me and believed in me every step of the way. And I give them a large part of the credit for most of the small successes that I've received so far. We didn't have many resources though. We grew up in an economically challenged environment. We actually lived together in order to pull resources together to have a better quality of life. But I'm not here to tell you like a horror story about the ghetto and people, sometimes they talk about the crime and the people that you lost to the streets and lost to the system. I want to tell you a story of love. I want to tell you a story of hope. I want to tell you a story of resiliency. You see, growing up in a ghetto, there's a sense of community and a sense of pride that's instilled in every child, where you represent your neighborhood and your block as if it was your last name. It's a place where you don't really hear the term friend too often, because we exchange that term for brother or sister. That's my cousin, that's my auntie. It don't have anything to do with, blood, family ties. It's more about loyalty. In the summer times, we used to play freeze tag until the street lights came on. There were fish fries and cookouts. I think out of sheer necessity, we became inventors and creators. Little girls that wanted to play jump rope, that didn't have ropes, they used extension cords to play double dutch. When we couldn't get on the basketball court, we cut out the bottom of crates and tied them to telephone poles. I remember my first lessons of entrepreneurship. It actually came from Miss Dottie. Miss Dottie was our neighborhood candy lady. She sold penny candy, pickles and soda pop, chips right out of her living room. You see, kids coming from economically challenged communities, you shouldn't discount them or overlook them, because we're brilliant, we're creative, and afforded the right opportunities, we are powerful beyond measure. And that's a huge reason why I'm running for the Board of Education, is because I want to make sure that we can reach every kid where they are and help them to self-actualize, reach their potential. So, when I was a kid, I just remember everybody used to tell me, they say, you could be anything you want to be when you grow up. But I knew that my anything had limitations. My anything really only consists of my physical capabilities, what my talents were, athletically, i.e. sports or, entertainment. And that's really, it really resembles the value proposition of a slave. I think Biggie said it best. Biggie said, the streets are a short stop. You either sling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. For those of us that aren't hip hop inclined, please allow me to translate. So it basically means that, you have a choice to be an entertainer / athlete or a drug dealer. And I think that toxic way of thinking has ruined so many young black brothers and black sisters' lives. Because we were told that we are only worth what our bodies can yield athletically. When I sit back and think about, if you want to find out where a lot of lawyers and doctors and judges are buried, go down to your local football field. They're in the end zone. They're under the hardwood in the basketball court. Or they're under the canvas in the boxing ring. That's where a lot of brothers and sisters exchange their God-given ability because they fell into this false dichotomy that their value was tethered to their 40-yard dash time or their vertical leap. That's why we need a community, because you only can be what you can see. We need everybody to play their part, play their role in uplifting our system. They have to see carpenters, they have to see tradesmen, they have to see lawyers, they have to see doctors, and so on and so forth. Everybody, we have to have an all-in approach in lifting this school system. So I chose my path. My path was basketball. I had, believe it or not, I had some academic issues in high school. And I got a call from Alabama A&M University. Thank God for HBCUs, man. They always take a chance on you. And they was like, hey man, we can get you eligible. You come down here and play basketball. I said, okay. All right. So I went to Alabama A&M on a dollar to dream. I went to Alabama A&M. And so I was in store for, something special that happened at Alabama A&M. So my freshman year, when I went to Alabama A&M, I got in a car accident. So I have a friend named Sean Fordham who had cerebral palsy. And I saw him crossing the street. And I was on the other side of the street, and then there was a car coming, going pretty fast down Meridian Avenue. Down Meridian, Alabama, man, you know about Meridian, it's a pretty busy street. And so the young lady's cell phone rang, apparently, in her back seat. And she turned around to get her phone, and she swerved, and she was almost going to hit Sean. So I darted out in the street. I pushed Sean out the way of the car. And he didn't get hit, but unfortunately I got clipped by the car. I broke my legs in 16 places. I broke my left leg in 10 places, my right leg in 6 places. I went halfway through the windshield, and I broke my left hand. And when the young lady stepped on her brakes, I went over the top of the hood, and I hit my head on the concrete. I think that was probably the most severe of my injuries. That I had a severe brain bleed. And I just remember laying there on the concrete, and I didn't have any friends or family, should I say, for over 500 miles away. And I was screaming for one of my close friends. His name is Jeff. I was saying, where's Jeff? Jeff, where's Jeff? And he reached down and he touched my face, and he said, I'm right here. And I had lost my eyesight temporarily. And I just remember waking up 3 days later. I was medically sedated to a coma. But I woke up 3 days later in the hospital, and my mom and all of my family came from up north, and we drove down to Alabama, and they were all in the hospital. And the doctor, he told me, he said, Branndon, he said, you're going to have to stay out of school for quite some time. He said, you're probably going to have to take a couple years off of school because your brain is injured pretty badly. He was like, the parts of your brain that are hurt, it's going to impair your cognitive abilities, that you won't be able to process numbers. Your personality may change a little bit. You may become more aggressive. I was already an aggressive person, so he said you may be a little bit more aggressive. And He said that we just don't think you should go back to school anytime soon. And I have fought so hard to make it out of those economically challenged environments to come to school, and that was very disheartening. And I spent months in the hospital, and they had me on the head trauma floor where gunshot victims, like people who've been shot in the head, or people that were in vegetative states, and I can tell you I have a whole story about my experience as an 18-year-old boy with all my mental faculties working, and I'm just witnessing everything that's going on around me, but I have to convince the neurologist that I'm okay. And I was like, I am okay, I promise you, I'm okay. And eventually, after a few months, they allowed me to, they discharged me to go to a physical therapy or a rehab facility. And so I fought my way, so I started on the beams, learning how to walk again, because I had titanium, steel in my legs and pins, so I had to learn how to walk again. And then I went from the wheelchair to a walker, and I went to crutches really fast. And I remember the first day that I was able to go outside, my mom was like, okay, I'm gonna let you go outside today. And so, I was discharged from the hospital. I was so excited because I don't know if you've ever been in the hospital for months, man. You just want to be outside and just enjoy the fresh air, and just be around people and just be an independent person, be on your own. And so that day, I walked around the corner to the local corner store, bodega, and I was talking to my friends. And one of my friends in particular, I was talking to Paris, and we were having a heated philosophical discussion. Who's the best MC, Nas or Jay-Z? And we were arguing, and all of the fellas on the block, and we were talking, and I had left my wallet in my house. And I was like, man, I left my wallet. I said, hold on, fellas, I'm gonna be right back. So I hobbled, all the way back to my house, and I got my wallet. But this day, my mom made the best meal that I ever had in my life. She made me some fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, and green beans. And so she said, before you go back outside, why don't you just sit down and eat? Heat up the food and eat. And I said, okay. So I warmed up the food, put it in the microwave. I sat down in my seat, and then I just start hearing gunshots. Boom, 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 boom. And I didn't pay any attention. I grew up. That's not unusual. So as I kept eating, and then I got a phone call, and they said, they just did a drive-by on your block, and your friend Paris was shot. So apparently some guys from the west side, they came, and they jumped out of a van and chased my friends down, and they caught my friend Paris and shot him. So three thoughts came to my mind immediately. And my first thought was, of course, is Paris okay? And thank God he survived the attack that day. My second thought was, I was just standing there. And I couldn't run, I couldn't jump, I couldn't duck, I couldn't do anything. I was just there. If I wasn't eating this fried chicken right That's why I said that's the best meal I ever had. But we know that God worked in mysterious ways. You know what I mean? God kept me in the house that day, and not to get too religious, but yeah. And then the third thought was, I gotta talk to my neurologist. I said, listen, man, I know you want me to sit out of school for a couple of years, but man, I'd rather take my chances with these books, because these streets, man, they're unforgiving. I'd rather go back to school. So my mom allowed me to go back to school. The doctor, signed off for me to go back to school, and I did well. And I went to Alabama A&M University, enrolled back in school that following semester, and I majored in economics. I switched my degree from marketing to straight analytical, quantitative numbers, just being defiant. Since he told me I can't do numbers, I'm just gonna go all the way numbers. So I went economics, and so I graduated. I got involved on campus, NAACP. I got involved in pledge Kappa Alpha. I became a Kappa, Kappa Alpha Psi. And you can erase that from the video. Became a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and in student government, I was a senior class president of student government. And then after Alabama A&M left, I went to Johns Hopkins University. I got an MBA at Johns Hopkins, and then after Johns Hopkins, I went to Georgetown University. I got a master's degree at Georgetown University. I had the opportunity to study overseas in the southern parts of Africa. I studied in Germany. Got a chance to go to the European Central Bank, Santiago, Chile, and now I work for a Fortune 500 company I work for, doing some really great things. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm working with, I'm on the board that has an HBCU initiative, and we've given over $1 million to HBCUs in our local footprint, and I'm just blessed to be a part of that situation. So I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit about my story and how I got here, and how, education has given me opportunities to advance my life. And I'm an advocate for education because I know what it's done for me. So I'm running for the Board of Education because this is a real thing for me. I feel like I embody the virtues that you're looking for in a school board member, away from the politics. This is my life. I feel like this is my purpose, and this is my passion to reach kids. And if I could do this for free, I would do it for free. So that's just a little bit about me. I figured I'd step away from the politics and the platform tonight and just kind of give y'all a glimpse into my life and who I am as a person. But I'm Branndon Jackson. I'm running for Board of Education, District 6. Thank you.